Hi, I'm Euan.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is
Popcorn and Cumin, a transatlantic dive into film and media.
With a healthy side of unrelated nonsense.
Hello, and welcome to Popcorn and Cumin. This week, we will be recapping and discussing the results and ceremony of the 2025 Academy Awards. This will be perfect for you if you haven't seen the Oscars, because then you don't have to sit through 3.5, 4 hours of
ads.
I think I'm including ads in that. Oh. Because we had to watch the ads.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we did.
No, we had the UK broadcast on, so we got Jonathan Ross.
Oh, you're right.
Jason Isaacs for a bit before he went to bed. And then
you're
two
right.
journalists.
We did not have to watch ads, and it was still that long. And it's also perfect for you if you have seen the Oscars, because then you get to relive it, hear our opinions, and yell at your earphones if you disagree with us or agree with us.
Exactly. But first, before all that, we have to do our much beloved segment, Cross-Border Factoids. And if you've never listened to the show before, the reason we do this is because I am from Scotland, the greatest nation on earth, and Sarah is from the US. We'll just skip over that.
Yep.
And therefore we give some sort of cultural differences. And this week it's my turn. So the very important cultural difference I'm going to educate everyone on today is that in the UK we have things called biscuits. You keep them in tins. They're often chocolate or shortbread or something like that. You might dip them in some tea when you're eating a tea at 11 o'clock or something. And in the US, they don't have these type of biscuits. They have something else called a biscuit, which Sarah will probably be better placed to kind of talk through what exactly it is, but you eat it with gravy or some sort of gravy, right?
Yeah, for breakfast. Biscuits and gravy. I think it might come from the South, I believe.
Down by the bayou.
I keep saying that. And
I is actually another difference where people in the north of England and Scotland say I instead of yes.
Yes. There you go. 2 differences for one. 2 for the price of 1. In the South, yes, they have biscuits and gravy. I mean, now it's spread throughout the US, but it's a very, very, very heavy breakfast with these dense biscuits, which are almost more like savory scone, what you'd call a scone in the UK, but kind of bigger and denser. And then you put, gravy on it.
So what, they're like a flour-based sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you also have like dinner biscuits, which are kind of like flaky versions of that. So rather than it being super dense.
Yeah. So for any of the UK listeners out there, just imagine a scone, except it doesn't taste as good and then it's covered in gravy.
No. Well, actually, yeah, maybe it doesn't taste as good. Well, I've always had a problem with the texture. It's quite a what's the best? Is it grainy? Have you had them?
Yeah, they're kind of like Hagrid's rock cakes.
No, because that is a British thing. Those are real British things. No, I didn't realize this before.
Yeah, rock buns. Yeah,
rock buns are a real thing.
Yeah.
They've got raisins in them. Disgusting.
Yeah, Sarah doesn't like raisins either, so she's a little taste. You can't really trust Sarah's opinion on fruit, just full stop, really.
No. What? On food or fruit?
Fruit.
Well, no. Fruit is good. Just
not
keep
in desserts,
but
only sometimes in desserts.
Just keep it separate from the bread. That's all I ask.
Okay. Well, anyway, in the UK, we have biscuits, which are like sweet things that you'd eat potentially with tea as a kind of snack or something. In the US, Sarah would refer to these things as cookies, which becomes quite confusing because in the UK, we also have something called a cookie. And in the US, that is also called a cookie. So there's no differentiation between biscuits and cookies.
Right. So here, the problem, you are framing this like it's a US issue.
It is.
No. Because the UK, you have these 2 things. Where do you draw the line between a biscuit and what about like a little cookie? A little biscuit that is round with little chocolate chips in it, but it's still like that texture. Is that a cookie? Is that a biscuit?
I think how hard and sort of crunchy it is. If it's more soft, it's a cookie. If it's not, it's a biscuit. I mean, where you draw the line is an interesting question, perhaps not one that we have time to really delve into today to answer.
No,
however, the issue I
We'll
think
delve
it's
into it
more
anyway.
on the US side of things, because if basically where the issue lies is it's a hypothetical, because it works in the UK because we don't have the American biscuit. If those were to become part of UK cuisine, we would just call them something else, and then there would be no confusion. And then you could have 3 different things with no similar name. But I think in the US, you've conflated too many things together. Cookies, it's too wide-ranging a term.
Do you ever call them bickies?
No, that's cringe and awful.
Is that a British thing?
I think I
though?
have heard that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like maybe in Australia they might have called them bickies.
Well, don't get me started there.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Do you flush some bickies down the dunny
What's the dunny?
toilet, isn't
Why
it?
would you flush a biscuit down a
You're
toilet?
doing weird stuff over there.
No, you roast the bickies on the Barbie.
You roast biscuits? That's crazy.
Well,
It
you
melts.
don't. You don't actually. You also don't flush them down the toilet. I thought we were just adding Australian words into the biscuit.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Oscars.
Yay.
So the Oscars happened when this is released, probably about a week ago. Euan and I were flying on a plane back from Italy when they began.
We had actually landed at that point.
Oh, okay. Well, we weren't about to stay up all night watching the Oscars.
I wanted to say I didn't want to.
I think that they should air them earlier in the day because they're watched like internationally.
Yeah, but you can't satisfy everyone.
Well, that's true.
Conan said that he's like, it's the biggest night in show business and we're starting at 4 p.m.
That's true. And he said something like good morning to the people in India or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's not fair to be like, well, the UK, we deserve to watch them.
Well, I think we do. I mean, if you're to benefit anyone, it should be the people in the UK primarily. Because, you got most people in Europe can probably speak English and would be interested in the Oscars. There's a couple, like 2 or a few European films nominated this year.
Yeah.
So I say move it all around. Get it started at like 8 a.m. California time so I can watch it. That's like 4 p.m.
Yeah?
4 p.m. in the UK. Celebrities can
Well,
get up early.
it could be later then.
Red carpet starts at 6 a.m. No.
Because if it was 4 p.m., well, I guess that would work on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, but clearly they don't care about us. So anyway, we ended up watching it the next day, trying to completely avoid spoilers, and...
Well, Sarah did. I'd already kind of seen a lot of the stuff when I woke up.
because Euan is addicted to his phone and can't not look at it.
No. I'm addicted to the news cycle.
That's worse. Maybe not. Both terrible for the mental health. Anyways, of the Best Picture nominees, I have seen, out of, how many are there?
10.
Out of 10, I've seen 4. So 40%, not great. Why am I talking about this, therefore? Nobody knows. But Euan has seen a few more.
Yeah, and you can't just, you've seen other movies. Not everyone has to be nominated for Best Picture for it to be valid viewing experience and stuff. You're still a movie expert of sorts, as am I.
I've seen some of the biggest movies of the year.
Fall Guy.
Seen it.
Beetlejuice.
Seen it.
The Mean Girls musical.
Seen it. Deadpool versus Wolverine. Didn't see that.
Yeah, that wasn't nominated for niche.
For nothing.
Wasn't even nominated for special effects.
Well, aren't Marvel movies kind of notoriously not that great?
Yeah, but they sometimes still get a cheeky nod there.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
I mean, let's just be fair, because of our newfound appreciation for animators, I think the Marvel special effects are probably bad due to the production timeline that they've operated under for a long time. It's no shade on the people working on them.
No.
Just the execs.
Yeah. I'm sure it's the classic thing where there's also just too much work and not enough people and all that fun stuff in the creative industries. So happily, Emilia Perez did not win Best Picture.
Yeah.
To everybody's delight.
Yeah, and it was a front runner early in the awards season because it got 30 nominations, which we talked about, I think, on maybe at least one of the previous podcasts. And I think, the various controversies that it was involved in happened before the Oscar voting happened. So I think that really screwed its chances up of winning many awards. But it did still win a couple. And it was clearly liked enough to have been nominated in the first place for all of these categories. So there wasn't like any noticeable like booing or anything in the audience.
No, in fact, it felt like there was almost louder cheering for Emilia Perez than for other things, which I thought was kind of strange given its controversy, especially with Carla Sofia Gascon.
Yeah, and Conan made a joke at her expense. Yeah. maybe she didn't understand because she's not a native English speaker, because it cut to her and she looked kind of confused.
Yeah, kind of confused but smiling as though she thought maybe it was a joke with her, but it was about...
Certainly at your expense, Carla.
Yeah. What was the joke?
It was that Anora says the F word like 400 times in the movie, which is, half as many times as Carla Sofia Gascon says in a Twitter post each week or something.
No, it's half as many times as Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist says.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's better.
And then he said, like,
he's
don't
the ginger
tweet
comedian
about.
and not me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then he said that if you want to tweet about this, my name's Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
That was good. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Just to say, I love Conan O'Brien, so I was very happy to see him do the Oscars. His career pathway, he, I think, started on SNL, which I like. I'm a convert to that, a recent convert. And then he was a writer for the early Simpsons, which Sarah knows.
That's why you like him.
I'm a very big Simpsons fan. He wrote some of the all-time classic episodes, including Marge versus the Monorail. And he performed the song from Marge versus the Monorail himself in like some sort of concert a couple of years ago, which I saw a video of, which I thought was very cool. And then I like his podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, which I listen to on occasion. I thought he was very funny on Hot Ones, which he did last year. And yeah, that was a good laugh. And his talk show was very good. I always liked watching clips of that on YouTube. Obviously, it's not syndicated in the UK, but so yeah, I very much like Conan O'Brien. I thought he did a good job hosting.
I think it is surprising that you like him so much, because I feel like you have a general dismay. That's not the right word. Disdain. That's the word for talk show hosts in general, especially American talk show hosts and James Corden.
Not really, especially American ones. I don't
really?
think.
I thought you bloody love Graham Norton. You're like, he's just the best host ever. He just has such good rapport.
I don't think I've ever said that. I think Graham Norton's like okay. I like Jonathan Ross, or I did when I was growing up, and I would like watch TV because I thought it was funny. And I think Graham Norton does manage to kind of produce pretty good clips where he has all of the guests on the couch and you see them like interact with each other. Like that one of like Lewis Capaldi.
Oh, I've seen many of these clips.
Yeah. So I like that format. And I think he seems a bit less like fake than Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel do.
Conan or Graham?
Graham. Yeah. Oh no.
Well, to me, Conan O'Brien just seems like very similar to Jimmy Fallon.
No, trust me, Sarah.
The way he like paces the stage, kind of like that nervous energy.
He did actually seem visually nervous,
quite nervous,
which it's
Sweet.
interesting. Yeah, that's nice. That's endearing. But no, he's way better than Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. Like his like rapport with guests, you can tell that the guests like actually like him, and he asks like interesting questions. He doesn't just sort of fake laugh and go. I don't know. Whenever I watch like Fallon or Kimmel or whatever, it seems like very rehearsed. But anyway, we don't need to blow any more smoke up Conan O'Brien's ginger quiff. So
ew. All right, maybe we'll cut that out.
That's not. You know what a quiff is?
No.
It's how you do your hair up. Did you think it was something gross?
Well, isn't the phrase like blow smoke up their...
Yeah, but that's why I didn't say that. I was keeping it PG.
I thought maybe that was a British saying for...
No.
All right.
Get your head out the gutter.
Get your head out the quiff.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
We'll bleep that.
So, yeah, I thought Conan's hosting was... I thought it was fine. I don't really know why I feel like they could get someone more interesting than just like talk show hosts and comedians to host it. I feel like I'm just kind of like bored with that.
Well, who'd you have?
Someone wild.
Well, presumably it would be like an actor or something.
I don't know.
They might be up for awards.
Well, he's like Will Ferrell. Just someone like out of left field.
Someone out of left field, not a comedian, Will Ferrell.
Well, I mean, like not a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, okay. Adam Sandler?
No, I feel like that would be really annoying. Yeah. Did you like the Adam Sandler bit?
I wasn't crazy about it. I'm not sure if it was like some sort of kind of political reference about like people wearing certain things to things, given the current news cycle with certain Eastern European
Wasn't that
leaders,
before that?
But no, it was that weekend.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it was like some sort of reference to that. I like the whole like Chalamet thing, which Sarah reminded me was something that had come up previously in the award cycle.
Yeah. So Adam Sandler was wearing like sweats or whatever, and then Conan O'Brien was like, "Why are you wearing that?" And then Adam Sandler, quote unquote, storms out.
Yeah.
But first yells Chalamet.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I feel like we kind of veered wildly off base. I've seen 6 3/4 of the Best Picture nominees, so again, I'm very well qualified to talk about them all.
Yes, getting back to the Best Picture. So Euan has seen 6 3/4.
Yeah, I was watching Nickel Boys on the flight back from the flight we were referencing earlier in the podcast, but I didn't finish it, so that's still on the to-do list. But I was very much liking it. I wouldn't have minded seeing that win Best Picture.
Yes.
Unless the ending is terrible. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I was kind of like, if any of these, I was like, if Emilia Perez wins, that's stupid. If Wicked wins, that's amazing. If anything else wins, whatever.
Yeah, so Anora won,
Yeah.
which I have
Babe,
seen.
we can do a drum roll.
Oh, sorry. Well, Anora won. Ooh.
Yay.
Anora is an independent movie.
That's good.
Yeah, so Sean Baker, who's the director, he also edited the movie, he wrote the movie, and he produced the movie. So he won 4 Oscars, which I think is a joint record for most Oscars won on one night by one person. And in his speeches, there was a lot of thanking of sex workers and the sex worker community, because that's sort of what Anora is about to some extent, but also a lot of shows the power of independent movies and that we need to support independent movies and people should be encouraged to make independent movies. So I'm very much all for that in an age where you see a lot of Hollywood blockbusters or whatever, they come out with these way overly inflated budgets, and then it's like, oh, we need to make 600 million to make our money back, and then it doesn't happen, and it's seen as like a commercial failure. I mean, Joker 2 had a lot of problems, but that was also one of them. And then see many Marvel movies or whatever, they were anticipating them making like billions, and then they come out and they make a couple $100 million, and it seems as a complete catastrophe. So something coming out for a modest budget of $6 million, and then it grosses, I think it grossed about 50 million, and that's a decent little profit. Yeah. Probably all went in Sean Baker's pocket, given how many of the roles he had. He got a nice little cut from that, I'm sure.
Yeah, lucky man.
Yeah. I thought Anora was a good film with a really good lead performance from Mikey Madison, and I thought it was a win for cinema in the sense that an independent movie won. I don't think it was like a mind-blowingly good movie, and I think like compared to last year where you had Best Picture nominees, I really liked Oppenheimer. I know Sarah was a bit softer on it, but she still liked it, and Poor Things as well. I don't think really anything was of that level apart from maybe Dune, but because I like Dune so much, maybe I'm biased towards it.
Is that what you put? We made ballots where we guessed what would win, along with also putting what we hoped would win separately, because we knew that the Academy would not agree with us.
Yeah.
So Euan put that he wanted Dune to win, and he thought Anora would win.
Which, so to clarify, I was following the like award season and what was winning a bit closer than Sarah. So the choices I was making in terms of what I was predicting would win were a bit more informed.
We're a bit more not his own opinion, but the opinions he read on Letterboxd.
I you don't read it on Letterboxd. You
on
just read
Reddit.
film reviews there. Yeah, Reddit is helpful for that stuff. But it wasn't like people's opinions. It was just like you see what was winning things at other award shows.
Yeah,
And
well,
then,
that's true.
but there were still surprises. I mean, I didn't get everything right, so it's like...
No, in fact, we haven't yet added up the scores. It's possible I did better than Euan.
Yeah,
I won in some key categories.
Yeah, Sarah had a couple of left field shouts in my opinion, but they were the left field shouts the Academy agreed with.
So Anora won Best Picture, and
Mikey Madison won Best Leading Actress, which was one of the surprises in my opinion, because I sort of thought... So Demi Moore won a couple of the preceding awards in the lead up to the Oscars. And because she's a bit older and this was kind of seen as like a real career revival performance, I kind of thought the narrative around that would be like what the Academy would like lap up. Kind of like how Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, you know, was like a good performance. But I think in the rearview mirror, people look back on that as a bit like that was a bit of a like lifetime achievement award. To be clear, Demi Moore's performance in The Substance is like very, very good, and I think would have been totally deserving of winning. But it was also cool to see them like recognize Mikey Madison, who before Anora I'd seen get brutally murdered in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, playing one of the Manson gang, and getting brutally murdered in one of the Scream movies as one of the Ghostface killers. But now in Anora she plays a, I guess, you know, stripper in New York. I think to be honest, to sort of show the level of transformation she does in her performance, you can kind of see how I think lacking her acceptance speech wasn't really saying anything. It was just very like cutesy and like, oh, I'm like very grateful and everything. But she kind of seems like quite timid. And whereas in Anora, she plays this really like brash and confident New Yorker. And, you know, like it's a totally different accent and everything. So it was a very good performance and one that was worthy of winning. But by all accounts, I haven't seen Fernando Torres' performance in I'm Still Here, but this was a pretty strong category because, you know, you have Mikey Madison, you have Demi Moore, Carla Sofia Gascon for all her perceived thoughts, good performance in Emilia Perez by and large. And then we can talk about Sarah's pick, or at least preferred performance in Cynthia Erivo for Wicked.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Wicked is just going to be immediately overlooked in all of these in all of the acting categories, just because it's like commercial and it's like a musical and people think it's fruity. But Cynthia Erivo's performance in Wicked is actually like very moving. Like that scene when they're dancing and stuff, that's some very subtle, moving acting that I think deserves award recognition.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a very good performance and obviously like a good dramatic performance, and coupled with that, the like singing and choreography and stuff that goes into a musical, it's a very impressive performance, I think. And yeah, maybe it is like the perceived commerciality of Wicked that might hinder its chances for some of these awards. Although, you know, musicals, at least going back to like the 60s and earlier than that, I think were traditionally kind of awarded at the Academy. Like I think Oliver won Best Picture and stuff.
Something flipped
in people's brains.
Yeah.
We don't like the music no more.
Because Chicago won, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which was well deserved. And to be fair, recently movie musicals haven't been as good. But that's why I think when they are good, they should be better. At least it was nominated for a lot of stuff. So I'll give it that.
I mean, maybe it's just, you know, in a different year, if the year was like perceived to be a bit weaker, Cynthia.
Babe, this year was weak as fuck. What are you talking about?
Not for the acting performances in this category.
I mean, I guess. Last year was strong. This was a year no one cared. No one saw any of the movies because no one cared about any of them.
I think that's a little harsh in Anora being an independent
statement.
movie, but and The Substance as well, which is a horror movie, which traditionally gets like no love at the Academy Awards either. And some of the analysis I was reading was saying people like ultimately, as much as people got carried away with Demi Moore. Well, I'm not actually sure if it's Demi or Demi Moore, but because people pronounced it both ways, I think at the Oscars, people were saying that like people got a bit carried away and discounted the fact that ultimately The Substance is a horror movie, so was not going to win any actual awards.
Well, that's sad. I mean, those two seem all right, but I feel like there was so much controversy around everything, and none of them had commercial appeal, which they were just trying to be artsy, but not even in like a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we have the Brutalist. Blech. Well, okay, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's good. Too long and a boring premise. There's a Michael Jackson one coming out. Ooh, that's
well,
let's celebrate that.
That's going through big rewrites at the moment.
Sorry, that was quite a rant.
Yeah, you just slagged everyone off. You're just gunning for everyone.
Well, anyone
associated with this Oscars.
Like last year, I think was so strong.
Maybe you're just more jaded now.
I don't think so, man. This is not just my opinion. Now that I've been scrolling the social media, this is what other people are saying as well, which obviously makes me feel quite vindicated. But people are saying that this year was just like not as good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think last year, because Oppenheimer was such a big success and it kind of became very clear that was like the big front runner, it wasn't that interesting for me because Oppenheimer basically won like everything that it was expected to. The only real, I guess, shootout that we had was for Best Actor between Emma Stone for Poor Things and Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon that I can remember.
I still think that you're saying that, though, having hindsight of it winning. Listen to this setup. Oppenheimer, American Fiction. Oh, we did see that, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good.
That was good. Anatomy of a Fall. That was good. Barbie. Amazing. The Holdovers.
That was good.
That was really good. Killers of the Flower Moon. Long, but very good. Maestro, didn't see it.
People don't really like that one.
Past Lives, I loved Past Lives.
Yeah, that was good.
Poor Things,
good.
Maybe amazing. The Zone of Interest I didn't see, but I heard it was very good.
Yeah.
Like reading that compared to this year, Those were all like amazing movies.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that lineup is stronger probably overall, but I do think this year is mostly pretty good as well.
Well,
Conclave, good.
Conclave was all
Wicked,
right.
good. Anora, good.
Conclave was all right.
Yeah.
It had good acting and cool cinematography.
I think Conclave was like as good as Anatomy of a Fall or Killers of the Flower Moon or something.
Really?
Yeah.
'Cause you loved Killers of the Flower Moon when
It
it
was
came
too
out.
long.
No,
I liked it about
that's
the
not
same.
what you were saying
I
when it
liked it
came
about the same. I
out.
liked it about the same.
Okay,
What is this?
Sure. Okay. Okay. Should we
Maybe
get
Conclave
back?
isn't as good as that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah. I don't think so. It is interesting that it's a adaptation of a book. I would be curious because to me that would
We've never
be a
seen them
very
before.
boring book.
Yeah. It's meant to be a good book, apparently.
All right. Well, maybe we'll look into that. Okay. What is the next category you want to look at?
So we can do actor in a supporting role. Actually, both the supporting categories I think we could talk about because actor in a supporting role won by Kieran Culkin, which was like no surprise because I think he won every single preceding award for this category. This is an example of what I would like to call category fraud because I haven't actually seen A Real Pain, to be fair, that's my disclaimer, but everyone who has seen it has said that like basically he is at least lead or co-lead in the movie and he is nominated as a supporting actor, which I do not think is fair when compared to Yura Borisov, who in Anora probably doesn't turn up until like 55% of the way through the movie and then, you know, has an actual supporting role in the movie. My pick in this category, because it's the only other, well, I saw Anora and I saw Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice, and I thought he was very, very good in that. And Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin were both in Succession together, so there's a bit of a narrative forming around that because Kieran Culkin seems like this kind of like happy-go-lucky man. It's not that deep, and he's just sort of, whereas apparently Jeremy Strong is like the most serious actor in the world, and like even people on Succession, it seems like didn't really like him that much because he took like method acting like so seriously. It was like not very pleasant to be around. However, his performance as Roy Cohn in The Apprentice I thought was very good, and I think I'm actually quite curious to see just how good Kieran Culkin's performance in A Real Pain actually is.
Because he's winning every award.
Yeah, and I don't know, like it seems like the other performances here are well liked, but yeah, I don't know, it just seems like he was such a front runner. It just seems so strange to me.
So then we have a second category fraud in the category of actress in a supporting role with Zoe Saldana, who, as we discussed this in the Emilia Perez episode, is the main character of Emilia Perez. Like, she has more screen time than Emilia Perez. I think significantly more. Yeah. And the story is clearly, it's following her character's story almost more than Emilia Perez is.
Yeah, well, she is like the kind of vector for change to happen, and
she's the Nick Carraway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is like if you watch The Great Gatsby and you're like, oh, Great Gatsby, or whatever his name is, Jay Gatz or whatever, is like the lead actor. Well, obviously he isn't. Like, the story, I guess, is like centers around him to some extent, but it's wrong. Like, I don't think she should have been submitted as a supporting actress. And yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see how she did it up against the other like lead actors, because yeah, I mean, this is the thing as well. Like, Demi Moore is like the lead actor in The Substance, but the whole premise of the movie is that she changes from herself into like a younger sort of version of herself called, I can't remember, but she's played by a totally different actor. So this actor, I think Margaret Qualley is her name, she is like the lead of the movie for like many of the scenes. Like, Demi Moore is just not in the movie for like large portions of it. So she could have been submitted as a supporting actor if they were using the Emilia Perez like logic, and she would have probably definitely won. So yeah, I just think it's like, it's just not, you got to play the game, you know, I guess, but play the game fair. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, maybe there should be parameters around what a supporting actor is versus a lead actor to make it more fair. I mean,
yeah, because like, you compare the role that Zoe Saldana had in Emilia Perez to the role that Isabella Rossellini has in Conclave, where she's probably in like 2 scenes and says like 5 lines.
Yeah.
Now, I found it a bit strange that she was nominated, to be fair, because as good as her performance was, like, it was the most, like, that is a very extreme supporting role.
Right.
But
which in some ways it felt like they were like, maybe there should be one woman who speaks in this movie.
yeah. Yeah, and people were like, wow, I've been waiting for that this whole time.
Yep.
Let's nominate her. And I thought Zoe Saldana, I like her. I've liked her in Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy and whatever, and Avatar. And it was a good performance in Emilia Perez. I'm a little bit surprised she just won every award. I mean, I haven't seen A Complete Unknown and I haven't seen The Brutalist, but Felicity Jones is a good actor. I think she's been nominated for Oscars before, I think for Theory of Everything.
Did you notice how you just skipped right over Wicked?
I was
Why do you
getting
think
to that.
is?
I was getting to that because Ariana Grande was my want to win pick for
good.
this. Obviously, also a musical like Emilia Perez. Ariana Grande, much better singer than Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
I guess, a bit more of a comedic, less dramatic role than Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. I think Glinda is generally a more comedic role in Wicked, but still has those heartfelt moments with Elphaba.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting to see what percentage of screen time Glinda has, because I mean, maybe it's just because Wicked is quite long. She does sort of inhabit a lot of the movie.
Apparently, when the stage production of Wicked was first being created, it was going to be more about Elphaba and Fiyero, and Glinda was going to be just kind of like a side character. The opening scene wasn't going to be Glinda coming out. It was going to be Madame Morrible singing
A totally different song, because there's no way. There's no way she could have
Yeah,
sang that.
no, because they... but it was Kristen Chenoweth was basically like...
Make my part bigger or I'm walking.
Well, first, throughout the thing, they started realizing that the show, it wasn't really about Elphaba and Fiyero. Like, it was about Glinda and Elphaba's relationship. And then they decided to have Glinda being the one kind of introducing the show. And then they were going to have her do kind of more of an alto-y thing, like more of Madame Morrible's part. And then Kristen Chenoweth was like, but what if I do and then just started singing like these high operatic notes. And then Stephen Schwartz was like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about it, it is quite strange when she starts doing the I mean, I don't know how to describe it, the high
belting
or whatever.
Not
towards
belting,
whatever.
Yeah.
The really high stuff towards the end of the song. I mean, it's kind of interesting, just the creative process of creating Wicked as the musical, because that would have been a totally different show if it was, and a totally different story if they didn't focus on that relationship. And I don't think it would have been as
big.
good.
Yeah.
It was way more unique having this kind of interesting dual role with
And then I feel like almost just Elphaba's relationship with Fiyero more is almost just complicates her relationship with Glinda. Like, it almost feels like that's more of the point of it.
Yeah, Fiero's the sideshow.
He is.
Yeah. It's actually going to be kind of interesting now I think about it to see how Wicked Part 2 does, because I don't think that relationship will, if they try to have that relationship more present through the second part as well, because from my memory of the stage show, I don't think they have that many scenes together in the second act. So I know there are some, but...
Well, they have their main moment, their duet.
Yeah, that's the very end.
No.
It's the last song, isn't it?
No, it's not the last song.
For Good?
Oh, wait, you're talking about Glinda and Elphaba.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Fiyero and Elphaba.
Yeah, no. I don't care about that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, For Good is their most emotional song together. And given...
How are you measuring that?
Because it's the
chills
it's
I
the
get.
Big goodbye thing. It's the song that every
theater kid sings.
Every theater kid
when they're
sings
leaving
to
their
say
theater
goodbye.
company.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Every year someone would do it. Every single year.
Every time you bring up stories like this, it just makes me rue the day I didn't go into drama in high school.
Theater kids are great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, again, I was saying this to Sarah earlier, I didn't love when Zoe Saldana started shrieking for her mum when she went up to accept the Oscar. I thought that was really strange, and it actually makes my skin crawl a little bit when I've seen it memed up since it happened.
She was just getting emotional,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And it's been making for some very good memes on TikTok and stuff. One of them I saw was when this is for those parents out there, not me, but I am an aunt. When you try to let dad put your toddler to sleep, but then he catches sight of mom walking by the door and starts,
very good.
Mama! Yeah, that was something. A few good memes came out of it, but not as many as the Will Smith year.
So then I would have liked to see Ariana Grande win, I guess, because that was my favorite performance of the two that I've seen. But Well, I mean, I feel like someone's so down on Emilia Perez. Like, I don't want to like slag Zoe Saldana's performance off because it was good.
Yeah,
But,
I think she was the best part of Emilia Perez.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I guess that's good, I guess. I do feel like people have really, like, since all the tweets came out and all the controversy, it's gone from like, wow, that was a bad movie to like, that's the worst movie. Like, everything about it is just horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of stuff about, not a lot, I saw one TikTok where people were like complaining that El Mal won. So Euan and I, we actually both like El Mal. I think maybe that's now would be considered a controversial
It's a hot take.
opinion. But that song, it was good, man.
Yeah.
It was fun. Well,
Yeah.
not
At least
fun.
the kind of like rapping, really abrasive part. There's the bit where Emilia Perez is singing.
Oh,
in
that
it, which
part's
is,
not
like,
good.
Not as good, yeah. But that isn't the bit they show in all the sort of
No.
trailers before the
Yeah.
awards, so that's okay.
Yeah. So El Mal won Best Original Song.
Yeah. And then
Then what?
the songwriters went up to present or to accept the
that was
award. And then they
weird.
started singing, and that also made my skin crawl. So 2 instances.
Emilia.
Yeah, like what the hell was that? I was like, is this a
weird.
reference to something, or like what's going on?
Did they sing? That might have been what was sung in El Mal.
Oh,
But that would be Emilia singing about herself, which doesn't really make sense. That was very uncomfortable. And then people started like clapping while she was doing it, but I think just to like try to get her to get off the stage.
yeah, and it also
'Cause it was so
she sort of
weird.
looked to her co-writer as if like that was something they planned to do a little bit, because then he joined in a little bit, but then kind
He
of
looked very
also joined out,
embarrassed.
yeah, while it was happening. So I think maybe, yeah, I don't know, these creatives, maybe they agreed to do that, like if we win, we'll sing or something. And he was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then when it happened, she started doing it, and he was like, this was a terrible idea. Stop singing.
Yeah, I kind of think whenever there was any kind of attempted duo or multiple person speech, there was always some moment of tension.
There was instances where people went up, multiple people had to accept awards because it was like part of a team or whatever, and then they sort of took time going round each member speaking. But then there was a couple of awkward things where like at one point they just like cut the microphone
Yeah,
when
that
someone
was
was about
so
to go in and speak,
sad.
which, I mean, we'll get on to things that make your skin crawl and use of the Oscars playing people off in our next category when we talk about lead actor, where Adrien Brody won and delivered the longest speech in Oscars history and also definitely the worst speech in Oscars history. So I had picked Adrien Brody because he'd won a bunch of the preceding awards. Timothy Chalamet actually won the Screen Actors Guild Awards. People were a bit like, oh, maybe Adrien Brody's not going to
Yeah, I
win.
put Timothy as winning.
And I haven't seen The Brutalist. I know Adrien Brody is a good actor, so I'm sure it's like a very good performance. Well, I kind of wanted Ray Fiennes to win just because I like him, and he's a bit older now. Don't know how many more chances he's going to get to win that Oscar.
Yeah.
I didn't think like his performance in Conclave was good. It wasn't like mind-blowingly good. A little bit surprised he was even nominated. Could imagine there being perceived to be 5 better performances than that in a given year.
Yeah.
But-
it was good, like, subtle acting.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the subtle.
Yeah. Who I would have liked to see win would have been Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice, playing and really, I think, demonstrating just how despicable and stupid Donald Trump is. And I thought it was really sort of inhabited and made you think about just how the world's greatest con man came to be. So I would have liked to see him be recognized for that. I guess it was a little bit surprising The Apprentice was even nominated in the acting categories, but because it was nominated, I was kind of surprised it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, because I mean, it was certainly better than Emilia Perez, but
Yeah.
that's kind of besides the point, I suppose. And then Adrien Brody wins and gets up and just sort of waffles about nothing
Oh my God.
for ages. Like, he's talking about how like winning the Oscar signifies that he's had a good career and worked hard for stuff. And I'm like, mate, no one's in doubt about that. Like,
Yeah.
we know you're a good actor.
You won the award. You don't
Yeah.
have to prove it to it.
Yeah, like it's so like it came across like really, I don't know. I think if you were in a position where you liked Adrien Brody, even if you really liked him, and then started seeing that, you would be like, mate, I don't like you very much now.
Yeah,
and it was
because
weird when
then-
he threw his chewing gum to his partner before going up on stage.
That was very weird.
He's like, I'm gonna be talking for 5 minutes here, so I can't have this gum flicking. I'm gonna choke
Think
on
about
it.
that before your name is called. And then, well, first of all, I don't like guys that chew gum.
What? I've been chewing gum this whole time.
Or just like people who chew things. It makes me uncomfortable. But Then the music started playing him off, and he was like, no, I know how this works. I can just keep talking. And then he was like, shut the music off.
Yeah.
And I was like, you entitled prick. Why are you more important? You already had more time.
Way more time
than all these other people who got nominated for things. But because like you're just so entitled. You're like, I deserve this time, even though those people didn't.
Yeah, because it's the acting award and perceived. I mean, and to be fair, that is us. We do care about that like a bit more.
But he had nothing to say. He just wanted to talk.
Yeah. It was awful. And yeah, because he'd won like enough of the awards, you'd think like he would have like prepared something. Because he started off, like talking about how it was like a good moment for him in his career or whatever. And I'm God, mate, no one wants to hear that. Then he started thanking people, but doing it in like the slowest way possible. And it was almost as if he was saying it like he'd say someone's name and expect the audience to clap. Oh yeah, we appreciate that person as well. And then that wasn't happening. And it was just slowly reeling off these people's names. And then I think they started playing him off or whatever, which apparently started happening to him when he won his first Oscar as well. So I don't know, maybe like a PTSD flashback or something. But he also told him to stop that then. And then he started making like an actual point about the movie The Brutalist, is about someone who survives the Holocaust, and we're in difficult times right now and we have to come together and fight things like anti-Semitism and racism and division of all sorts. You should have led with that, mate, instead of getting up and just waffling for 4 minutes.
See, I didn't even hear that stuff because by the time he got to it, I was probably like on my phone or something because I was like, you've got nothing good to say. So I missed anything important. Yeah. See, I was considering seeing The Brutalist, but after his speech, now I just don't want to see his face anymore.
Yeah. Well, you could have watched The Brutalist in the time it took for him to
finish his speech. Yeah. All right. We're coming towards the end, I think, of discussing this, but I would like to just give myself a wee pat on the back. Because
a wee one,
even though I wanted Wicked to win basically every category, I did correctly guess which categories the Academy would agree with me on. So I thought that it would win Best Production Design, which it did. And I had a whole argument planned, which it doesn't have to be an argument now. It can just be justification for why it won. But it's because even though, for example, in Dune, there is actually like amazing production design. But in Wicked, those are all very big, vast things. In Wicked, like in the Emerald City, there's so much detail that goes into the set. There's like a tiny little working candy shops and like little mechanical figurines that are moving. Like everywhere you look, there's these tiny, tiny details, which is why I think it was very deserving of that win. The second thing that it won that I thought that it would win was costume design. And here I'm going to give you my argument/justification now for this compared to other things. I think that Wicked, because it's a fantasy world that's kind of rooted in the real world, but not really. I think that there's a lot more creativity that goes into the costumes for it versus something like Complete Unknown, which was nominated, where it's just like, oh, we have to get the correct, authentic period wear, which is just like, that's not really creative. That's just trying to get something correct. And same with the Pope movie. Same with Conclave. It's like, yes, there's some thinking about how it like goes with the set and all of that stuff, but it is really just trying to make a Pope costume.
Yeah. And making something authentic, like I think there is like a level, because some of the analysis we were listening to is like people using costumes that aren't aged, and then it implicitly makes it feel less real.
Yeah, well, there's definitely an art that goes into it.
But that isn't like design in the same way, like creating something from scratch is. Just get some old leather jacket and chuck some dust on it, and then you've got Bob Dylan's fucking costume.
There you go. Or like Gladiator, I think those outfits and stuff are cool, but that's just because they wore cool shit then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of the costumes were of unique designs that were inspired by stuff, but yeah.
That would be my second option.
Yeah, they sort of showed the costumes like on stage. That was a funny bit they did when Bowen Yang came out like in costume. I like that. I also picked Wicked to win that, and I also picked that I thought it would win it. I don't know, did you think you thought it would win it?
No, that's what I'm saying. For both of them, I both wanted it to win and thought that it would win.
Smart. Inspired choices.
Thank you.
Just to say, on the ITV coverage in the UK, there was Jonathan Ross, Jason Isaacs for a bit before he got tired and went to bed. And then there was one female presenter who I haven't really seen on things, and then a journalist. And I think the journalist had terrible opinions basically throughout. So I just want to say, ITV, if you're listening to this, invite us on. We'll do the coverage. People will probably respect us a lot more because we won't just like, oh, Anora, that isn't very good, and then it wins Best Picture, and you're like, oh, I don't think people will remember it. And then you're like, oh, Conclave, people will remember that forever.
Yeah, she was like, people, this is a movie that will last. I was like,
and then she was like, oh, I didn't want Wicked to win costume design. I wanted a complete unknown to win because it captured the 70s in a way that was different from like other people.
That was when she totally lost me.
I mean, that was shocking. And I think she had some like other opinions. I was like, who am I listening to right now?
Yeah, I think that she said everything as an argument. Everything was negative. Nothing, even if she was saying something positive, it sounded negative. I guess sometimes that's me as well.
Yeah. The one other... No. You're never negative. The one other thing that happened was they did I'm not sure if it was because of the controversy or whatever, they didn't do the original songs, like they didn't perform them this year, so instead we had Wicked perform.
How did I not lead with this?
Yeah, well, they led with it.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to talk about this. Okay, so start of the Oscars opens with Cynthia Erivo singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Oh my gosh. And then they go into songs from Wicked. Cynthia does Defying Gravity. Then Ariana, she comes back in and they sing. Oh no, they sang that duet together, and then she goes and finishes the end of Defying Gravity. And oh my God, it was so good. These Cynthia and Ariana are such good singers. Like,
makes up for how weird they are in interviews.
Yeah, well, that's true. But that's why I'm surprised. They could never hold it together in interviews, but they can always hold it. They're always so composed on stage.
That's
it's
why
very
they're pros.
interesting. It's very interesting. Oh, it was just beautiful. And I actually cried because the performance was so good and because just Defying Gravity is the best song ever. And then I was like, why would you lead with that? Like, that's it. That's as good as it's getting. It is all downhill. That would be a good, like, pick-me-up, you know? Or even a finale. To start with that, then I was like, I don't need to watch anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, right after that, then Conan came out, so it did get a bit better.
Well, no, see, then I was like, oh, well, now you've ruined it.
That was very good. And I think compared to previous years when they'd done the original songs and some of the performances, it's a bit like, I'm not sure how good you guys are at live singing compared to doing some funky song in the, you know, whatever. It was good. But then they also did a James Bond like celebration, which was kind of random. I didn't think was like that good. I'm a pretty big James Bond fan. Yeah, they did like a couple of the most well-known James Bond songs, little medleys off them.
That was
and
weird.
A little dance number. Margaret Qualley from The Substance, not nominated for anything, but they had her do some dancing in the James Bond sequence.
I did like the dancing.
Yeah.
That was all right.
But it seemed like okay. Like, I feel like I would have thought people in entertainment would have been able to choreograph something a bit more interesting.
Well, I thought the dancing was better than the singing. I thought the singing was quite subpar. Especially because Bond themes are so, like, powerful and...
Yeah. And, like, Adele's not doing anything at the moment. Just get
her.
Out.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't.
Pay her a bit. Don't take no for an answer.
Were there any other performances? I mean, Conan did a few things.
He did his Not Gonna Waste Time song, which I thought was a bit strange, but I didn't hate it.
The only part I liked was the sandworm.
Yeah.
Sandworm playing piano.
I think apart from that, it was like relatively free of controversy. It was, and things to really talk about. There's a couple of interesting wins. The first Latvian film to ever win an Oscar, so that was interesting. That was for something.
Flow?
Yeah, I think it was. So that was nice. That won Best Animated Film, which, again, kind of a win for independent movies.
Yeah.
Cinematography, Brutalist won over Dune. I wasn't happy about that. Dune didn't do so well, which maybe it kind of justified that it didn't get that many nominations that I was complaining about a while ago.
It won Best Sound. Was anything else?
Best visual effects as well, I think.
That's deserved. I think maybe it should have won cinematography, but no, actually it definitely should have won cinematography.
I wonder if people were just like, oh, Dune already won a bunch of these awards just for Dune 1.
Yeah,
so maybe...
well that's what I'm worried about with Wicked.
Yeah, but maybe the actors will get another shot at the acting awards.
Where is Jonathan Bailey's nomination?
He wouldn't have gone because he's on stage in London.
Oh, that's true.
Didn't go to the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
He could get his understudy in. I would be disappointed if I bought tickets though and it was his understudy. Just like Euan and I are gonna go see The Great Gatsby on stage in the West End, and Nick Carraway is going to be played by Corbin Bleu.
And for most of you who won't know who that is,
what? Shut up! People know who that is.
You might know him when you say he plays Chad in High School Musical.
Yeah, people know Corbin, and he's in Jump In.
I don't know what that is.
You do. It's the jump rope. Well, that's because you didn't watch Disney Channel.
Yeah.
It's another Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah, Disney Channel kids who grew up glued to a TV screen instead of going outside and playing like you.
I would go outside and play.
No. You were watching Disney Channel, watching High School Musical and Jump On reruns.
Jump in.
Jump On's a better name.
No, because it's jump rope. You know, when you're jumping rope, jump in is when you're doing the rope and then someone jumps into the middle of it. Rather than starting in the middle. That's lame. That's considered lame. I'll have to show you some videos of Double Dutch because it's pretty impressive. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the Oscars.
Yeah, not very much controversy.
Well, I mean, a lot of the movies had controversy.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
not in the
ceremony. There was little controversy. I think the results, there's nothing that I was like too aggrieved by. I think I was mostly aggrieved by Emilia Perez getting so many nominations and getting so few. And I guess we'll see you again next week.
Yes.
In a few weeks' time.
So our next episode will be back to our animation series where we speak with animation expert Jenny, who will, in this next episode, be telling us more about the background, what do you call it? Backstage of animation.
The production line.
The
pipeline.
The animation pipeline. So we'll be talking about pre-production. We might get into a bit of production, but you will just have to wait and see. So we will see you next week. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And on social media, we will be posting our final scores of our Oscar brackets. So you can see who knows more about Oscar films, Euan or Sarah. Even though Euan has seen more, I think I'm still gonna win. So that is all, folks, and don't forget to enjoy your daily bowl of popcorn.
Nom 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 nom.